Here is truly a miracle in the desert. A whole new outlet for the crowded millions in big cities. A Palm Springs with water. Here is where you can find the good life in the sun. Today, the Salton Riviera, beside the blue Salton Sea, is the place for you to take charge of your future. You can come as you are, no reservations required. Enjoy life at the Riviera.
The Salton Sea's nutrient-filled waters make it a perfect home for phytoplankton, algae, zooplankton, and worms, which in turn supply the fish with food. This becomes a problem though when algal blooms cause the oxygen supply within the water to be scarce. The result is massive fish die-offs. This also poses a threat to all the birds that depend on this body of water as their food source, especially since the Salton Sea is a key pit stop for birds migrating along the Pacific Flyway. Over 400 species have been recorded to use the Salton Sea as a stopover for food and breeding. For some species, this is their permanent habitat. Every year, millions of birds stop and feed on the fish of the Salton Sea, but unfortunately, with the shift in the ecosystem from a detrital food chain into a saline ecosystem, the fish they feed upon could possibly die off. These effects can be seen in the exposure of tilapia nesting sites along the receding shore and are predicted to worsen as the salinity increases.
The Salton Sea's receding shoreline is leaving behind exposed playa, which allows dust to be blown into the air by wind. Not only is the dust itself harmful, but the chemicals that the water leaves behind, such as hydrogen sulfide, can attach to the dust particles and be blown into the air as well. These chemicals, also including nitrates and phosphates, come from the pesticide and fertilizer residuals found in agricultural wastewater runoff that flows into the Salton Sea. Once airborne, they are detrimental to human health, often causing asthma and other breathing-related complications, and have the potential of resulting in lung cancer. This has already been observed by the people living in the Imperial Valley, and will only get worse as more playa is exposed over time. This is due to an increase in the number of dust storms generated in the region that will also cover a larger span of area. Therefore, as the water quality gets worse and the Salton Sea continues to shrink, the air quality will continue to deteriorate and at a much greater scale.
The Salton Sea is the legally designated repository for agricultural runoff from the Imperial and Coachella valleys. Sea management affects agriculture with regulatory burdens associated with the total maximum daily loads of the Clean Water Act in reducing contaminants. Economic development and quality of life depend on the health of the sea. Lack of sport fish, offensive odors, fluctuating water levels, health advisories, and increasing salinity each reduce the human value of the ecosystem and hinder economic development. Recreation has traditionally been a major activity associated with the sea, including a productive sport fishery and seasonal waterfowl hunting, drawing urban residents from throughout Southern California. Water issues, however, have eroded recreational values in recent decades. The natural value of the Salton Sea, particularly the habitat value for migratory birds, is an important ecosystem service. Healthy ecosystems are a biological control that regulate pests, support biodiversity, and provide food for human and wildlife consumption.
Although the Salton Sea has experienced environmental degradation that has disrupted its biological communities and wildlife populations, increased air pollution rates, and resulted in stress being placed upon the agricultural and economic foundations such as ecotourism of communities within the region, its future is starting to regain a sense of hope. The sense of hope has been developed as community members and legislative officials have begun to meet together to discuss hundreds of potential solutions to mitigate environmental degradation in the region and to the Salton Sea itself.
There are a number of plans to address the problems with the Salton Sea, and there are dozens and dozens of plans to address the problems with the Salton Sea, and perhaps that's a problem in itself. In my mind, it's a canal, or it's a pipeline, a water movement. Take water out, put water back in. There are other approaches to look at ponding portions of the Salton Sea to draw the salt out, to use enhanced evaporative systems currently used in Israel. It's an age-old problem. It's been going on for 30 years. But it's come to the point where I really don't think that we have another 30 years. We need to solve it now.